everyone. I am Manisha Joshi, and I am so excited today on this show of Conversations with Manisha to be joined by the one and only Jefre Manuel. How are you today?
Hi, Manisha. Thanks for having me today.
I'm so excited. He just texted me 2 days ago and said, I'm in Jacksonville. Can we grab lunch? And I said, can we take it a step further and grab a video? Why not? Jefre,
I know,
so
she's been wanting to do this for a long time.
A long time.
And I apologize.
No.
I've just been everywhere, so it just happens when it happens.
I want to know what your passport looks like.
I am a 2 million miler in Delta.
Wow.
So it's just, I don't know. It's just, I feel like I come to Florida, Orlando, just to come and do laundry, and then I'm off again, But it's exciting. It's just, I think, the travels is really about cities enjoying and grasping my work. And that's what the exciting part of it is just being able to share my work with literally the world, which I've just been so honored to do.
Well, I think it was only a week ago you were in Manila.
Yes.
And this was your first solo exhibition in your hometown. Tell us about that.
So, I've been honored with museum exhibits here in the U.S. Recently at the Orlando Museum of Art called Points of Connection. And it was really an opportunity to bring that show co-curated by the museum to my homeland, the Philippines. So the Met Manila, Metropolitan Museum of Art Manila, is opening their brand new facility, and I'm the first kickoff solo international show.
That's amazing.
And so we wanted to call it Points of Origin, essentially bringing my work home and creating new works that really relate to the culture of my homeland of the Philippines. So it's a great opportunity to share what I've been doing here in the U.S. and worldwide back to my community and homeland, the Philippines.
What I love is that you are so busy. I mean, he has one of the best social media Instagram accounts I know. And every time I log on, you're in a different city, sometimes a different country. Yet you have a sculpture that stood out to me, and it's called Smile, Breathe, and I think, was it Let Go? But it's seated, and I loved it. And I said, when does he get a chance to sit and breathe? But it was one of my favorite sculptures. How do you relax in between all this travel?
So that sculpture was actually modeled after one of our very, he's like the Tom Cruise of the Philippines, Piolo Pascual. And he's as busy as I am, but he's been able to figure out, times and moments to create balance in his life between acting and doing his obligations with his sponsors and brands to find time in his life to create leisure. And that's something that I hope to model after my life. And it's, my box series sculptures are all based on these positions of emotion, whether it's love, joy, peace. And that one where you saw that one, it was actually called Zen. So it was a position like him in a yoga position like this.
Yes, I loved it.
It was just very peaceful. So it was nice to actually see someone who is usually in a very action role mode, to be in something of a piece of Zen,
very peaceful.
And I hope to replicate it in my life as well. So no, it's interesting. So.
How did you get your start in art? And I love that you have always shared with everyone that your job as an artist is to create and tell a story. Where did art come about in your life?
So, my background actually is in urban design and planning. So my original job was actually placemaking. It was the idea of storytelling, creating site-specific landscapes and places that recall the culture and history of the site of what I'm working on. And that's essentially how I got into public art. But the big moment in my life was when I was 30s, I had a heart attack and triple bypass surgery.
I remember you sharing,
and that was when my aha moment was to say, okay, I'm going to do what I love, which was go back to my passion for art. And instead of doing and locating where these moments would go in the landscape or the city, I just wanted to do the moments, right? And so that's when I went into the Percent for Art program. So that was the biggest funder of the arts, was all these competitions all over the U.S. for 1% of art that went to public buildings. It had nothing to do with how many museum exhibits, your CV, it all based on an idea.
That's great,
And so there was no biases, and it was all based on the idea. And I was fortunate to be a finalist on 12 and won 8 in my first year.
Wow.
And that was the fastest public artist to win that many in my first year.
That's fantastic. I am curious about one of your installations that had to do with how many pills you had to take during that time. And you had actually counted all of the pills, and there's a photo of you, and that to me is very emotional. How did you come up with that idea?
So as a public artist, my job was always creating site-specific work. When I did my first solo exhibit at the Atlanta Museum of Art, I wanted to recall and give people a moment, a pause of what drives me. And it's this issue of me having heart disease. So I had an installation that recalled my struggles with heart disease that showed all the prescription bottles I've been collecting for the last 10, 15 years that I put on the shelf. I had my real name on it, my real prescriptions.
Yeah.
It's sort of a way to open, your medicine cabinet, which is very personal to people, to the public, right?
Absolutely.
But I also had 57,000 pills displayed on a big pile that showed how many pills I'd actually consumed through my body. That's sort of helping me maintain my issues with heart disease. So I also had issues that, or had exhibits in there related to these 4 stents that were inflated to be a flower in bloom.
Wow.
Which is really representative of me, which is a mechanical device sort of operating.
Yeah.
A mechanical device operating a physical, like my own natural element.
I love that you took something that could honestly be a setback for somebody, or even just, well, I have this disease, so I can't do X, Y, Z. Instead, you turned it around and said, I have heart disease. Not only did you turn it into art, but you're persevering more than ever. You've really pushed yourself forward. You've also really brought out the Filipino community. And when I read your social media and I see you in the news, I love that you've not only given your community attention, but you've also really inspired a lot of fellow Filipino artists.
Well, not even Filipino artists, but Asian American artists in general. I think the AIP community has been very kind of on hold for a long time.
Yeah.
And me being a Asian American, Filipino American, born and raised here in the U.S., we all have issues of finding our place in this cultural landscape, right? And as you get older, you really start appreciating your roots, right? And I really didn't start going home to the homeland like until 10, 15 years ago, and rediscovering who I am, where am I from, and saying, why isn't everybody doing this?
Yeah.
And so as I was gaining some great opportunities in the U.S. and getting published and all that stuff, I was really embracing the idea of me being Filipino American, and even starting to share that in my press releases where it would say Filipino American artist, and bringing that sort of drive and passion back to my homeland to kind of say, see, look, a lot of our parents came here first generation to find that American dream. Find that dream and then take those lessons and bring it back home, right?
I love that.
And so we're still, semi third world country, but for those who, whether you're going from other places of origin and coming to the U.S. find American dream, it's always a reminder for people to go back, and help, because the American dream is about like education and opportunity.
Absolutely.
And take those opportunities and bring it back home. That's why. That's why you always have to remember your origin story. And that's why my exhibit called Points of Origin really emphasizes that.
That's why I love it, because I'm an immigrant as well. Same thing. My parents came to this country to give me and my sisters education, opportunity, and really flourish. And so when I read about that, that kind of touched home for me.
Jacksonville actually is, in Florida, one of the largest congregation of Filipinos in all of Florida.
Yeah.
So as I started coming back here, when I won the Jax competition, I saw the Filipino community really embrace me here, and it was just an honor to kind of see the pride of the Filipino and also Asian Americans alike.
And where we are right now at the Jesse, right outside the building, there's a beautiful Filipino mural right to the side. So I love that. I walk by it every day. There is a garage in Orlando that's like no other garage in the world. And I am fascinated that you took the facade of this garage and it actually translates into a Braille language. How did you come up with that, and what are the messages that are in that? That was really cool.
Actually, there's you mentioned one, but there's actually two garages that you need to see.
Okay.
There's the 1 and 0 garage,
Okay.
which is binary code, and then the one you're talking about is the second garage, which is translated in Braille.
Yeah, I
so
thought
there's
it
a
was really
series
cool.
of these garages I've been developing in this community called Lake Nona, Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
That talk about this idea of visual languages
Okay.
that are translated into a facade of a parking garage.
Wow.
So one has a projection mapping on this beacon, which is covers the stairwell, which is a formation of the old stethoscope, and
Amazing.
the Braille one we were talking about
Yeah.
has a series of not necessarily tactile images, but if you looked at Braille in black and white,
Yeah.
it still says a language of these different words of inspiration.
So cool.
And you could see the little letters next to the little hole cut out.
Wow.
It's part of it. And it was crazy because you almost had to, when I was designing it, it's almost like Words with Friends, like, or Scrabble. I had to find a 5-letter word or a 3-letter word to fill out the edge of the garage.
How did you come up with that?
I think for me, I wanted to create an archetype for this development that all the parking structures had the same language
Okay.
in terms of architectural
Yeah.
language. And as an artist, it was really me about reinterpreting the mission statements or visions of this developer, Tavistock,
Okay.
that they wanted to inspire to the community. And so these words are all in the garage, but translated in different languages. So we
Wow.
have Braille, binary code. The next one will be Morse code,
Wow.
dashes and dots. So it's a cool opportunity to kind of play with sort of pattern making and graphics, and then becomes a wayfinding thing. So when they say, "Where is the Wave Hotel?" It's like, "Oh, it's next to the Braille garage." Where's Chroma Restaurant? It's over by the binary code garage, right?
So it won't be uncool to say you want to take a road trip to go see a set of garages.
Yes, please come.
And in that same area, there's also one of the largest art collections because it was featured on the Today Show, and they showed your, massive sculptures. What were the ideas behind those?
So that's, as I talked to you earlier, my box series.
Mm-hmm.
My box series was launched at my first exhibit at the Orlando Museum of Art. And
Okay.
For me, it was a way to do my first series of studio art. And so as a public artist, it was never art about me. It was about the place or the people. This was a way for me to explore art about sort of my expressions of what I feel as an artist that relate to why I do public art. And it's really about not necessarily cities are created of these amazing buildings, which they are, but it's really the people and culture. And so the box series, BAKS, is really a series that talks about these great emotions that make a great city. The heads are literally boxes, are substitutes for buildings. And when you put all the bottoms of these heads on a horizon line, it makes a skyline of what I think is a great city, or all these emotions.
That's
in one.
amazing.
And then I just continue on with these box series in terms of different emotions, right? So Zen
cool.
just became part of that. So I just keep adding to these series. And so as part of the show, the Lewis family come and they acquired 4 that are in the Lake Nona Sculpture Garden, located at the Wave Hotel, which was featured on the Today Show.
Yes.
And it was neat to see my collection amongst these amazing masters, like there was Henry Moore's, Botero's, Pollock's, Jackson's, I think I said Botero already. There's one of there's 7 copies of the Wall Street Bull are there.
Wow.
And then you've got 4 Jefre sculptures in there. And
that's gotta be an amazing feeling.
Well, I hate saying this all the time, but because I think I keep jinxing myself. But out of that whole collection, I'm the only living artist in that collection.
Oh wow!
So maybe that's why I'm very cheap in there. I should charge more.
I think that's pretty amazing, though. Do you step back and look at your art in complete awe?
I appreciate it when I see it revealed. I appreciate it when people message me. I appreciate it when you see the joy and emotion that certain things create, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
I am getting more access to these amazing experiences and opportunities, whether it's with celebrities or people in ownership or higher levels of who are running cities and all that stuff.
Jeffrey, not only do you have a big heart yourself, but there is one of the largest heart sculptures in the world, and I cannot wait to see it in person. Can you tell our audience about it?
So literally, the groundbreaking ceremony happened on Valentine's Day.
Oh, I love it.
So it's for the city of Port St. Lucie for
Okay.
a community called Tradition. Matt Amy Holmes is the developer, and when they first approached me, they were like, "Put us on the map." So the world's largest heart is going to be close to 10 stories tall.
Wow.
You can go inside the heart on the second floor. You'll be a balcony, like a
Wow.
Romeo and Juliet balcony.
Yeah.
Probably be a place where most proposals will happen. Prom proposals, wedding proposals.
Hint, hint, all you single folks.
And I think it's going to be an amazing sort of icon for South Florida. I think,
Yeah.
When people are driving between Orlando or even from Jacksonville to Miami, they'll be able to go by 95 and
Yeah.
see this iconic heart sculpture that will sort of become sort of an icon to the city. And actually sort of, when we had city council, the mayor and everyone was so enamored by the idea that, with this sort of climate we are, political climate or whatever,
Yeah.
that love always wins, right? And I think,
Absolutely.
is an easy symbol to sell to the community.
So I'm so excited to hear about these Jacksonville sculpture, otherwise known as LERP, Jax, Love, Lax. There's so many nicknames to it. I mean, and I remember you telling me that someone actually had a tattoo made of the sculpture, that they were so excited.
Tattoo, there's keychains, there's fanny packs,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
hats.
You know you made it when you're on a fanny pack,
Exactly.
right?
And a beer. There was a LERP beer.
Seriously?
Yes.
Wow.
Oh my God. Like, I was just like, it's amazing how viral this thing went. But I think it's amazing. I mean, you could call it whatever you want.
Yeah.
I think it's just as long as you come down, take a selfie with it,
Yeah.
buy a beer, have lunch.
Yeah. I'm getting the fanny pack.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that everyone is curious where it's at right now. And when you did talk, to our chamber council about it, you gave us a better understanding of how art does transform the community, how it transforms social media, how it draws audiences. And I think it really opened everybody's eyes to it not just being, something that you place in a park. It's something that can change a community profound, economically, socially. So everyone's going to ask me, did you ask Jeffrey where is LERP going?
So, when I say Statue of Liberty, Eiffel Tower, the Arch, the Jesus Redeemer, the Bean,
Yeah.
I didn't really have to tell you what city it is,
Right.
right? So my job as an artist on this project was to create an icon for the city, and that can be identifiable not only to the locals, not
Yeah.
only to Florida, but internationally. Like, it needs to be part of the skyline of the city so that people identify this idea of what Jacksonville is really about, which is the whole storyline about the love for the St. Johns River and the
Yeah.
history and everything you've seen about that. So, where we are today is, you saw the city has permitted phase 1 of the park. So phase 1 of the park is underway, and phase 2 is coming. So with the new hotel or mixed use development as part of it, the beer garden underneath, and then the plaza where the sculpture will go. And so you'll see coming up in the next couple months, which is great. It's
I'm excited. Yeah.
that we will go back into the community
Okay.
and talk about the importance of public art, iconic art, and share sort of my storyline of what it is, but then look at working with the community to see where we may need to modify some of the ideas based on the
Okay.
idea that, times have changed
Right.
with not only the park design, but
Yeah.
also the private developer and the
Okay.
hotel. So it's changed the site, the view angles a little bit.
Okay.
And honestly, it's appropriate to revisit
Right,
the
right,
the
absolutely.
size, the scale of this piece of art. So it'll be a way for me to kind of work with the community again.
Yeah.
Whereas before it was really more of a design competition.
Okay.
Where we were competing against other teams to present to the city, and they essentially selected
Yeah.
the comprehensive plan icon and all the program elements as part of it. Where now I get to work with the community a little bit more on what the vision is,
Okay.
reshape it a little bit, have a more realistic budget, and so that'll give us opportunities of what we can present in the future. So
I'm excited.
so LERP is coming. It might be something else.
Yeah.
I think what I'm excited about is to finally kind of get this project going again and
Yeah.
get the community and the city to kind of be excited and be part of this process to create something iconic for the city of Jacksonville.
That's awesome. You meet, like we talked earlier, Hollywood actors, international superstars. I mean, you're invited backstage at the Journey concert last night. There's a red carpet that's often rolled out for you, yet you're so humble to come and take time and talk to me today.
Oh, of course.
Which I'm so honored.
You're like the Oprah of Jacksonville.
I love that. What would you say to an artist that kind of may come up to you and say, Jeffrey, I want to be you when I grow up?
I don't know if you want to be me or people want to grow up, but I think what I've always said is, it's interesting because I do a lot of talks, and some parents come up to me and like, give me advice for their kids who are going to become artists, and I give them honest answers. I say, it's hard.
Yeah.
I think 80% of it is luck. 20% you just have to be in the position to allow things to happen.
Yeah.
But you also need to work hard.
Yeah.
You can't let things come to you. You got to go get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to put yourself in positions to meet people. You have to be able to sell your work. I think there's amazing technical, talented artists that don't know how to sell or talk about their work.
Right. Yeah.
And then if you have that skill set already, you also have to produce, right? So I think there's a balance of what that is. And I think, my final thing is really just to follow your passion, right? I think no matter what it is, whether it's in arts, design, medicine, I think if you find your passion, all those things will come.
Yeah.
The red carpets, the money.
Right.
Not yet. I'm still starving artist. Please help me. But I think, you just follow your passion, and all those things will find you, right?
I'm excited to see what's going to be on your passport.
So, a couple exciting things. One is, in addition to the love sculpture that you had mentioned, one of my biggest icons will be made to date, which will be in my homeland, the Philippines.
Okay.
So, it'll be 60 meters high,
Wow.
and it'll be taller than the Statue of Liberty.
Wow.
So it'll be my largest sculpture in the world. When asked what it's about, it's really about this idea of the American dream.
Okay.
It's called the Victor, but it's the idea of as we all migrate to U.S. or wherever we are, that there's always this beacon of light for you to come home. And so there's a giant iconic figure that will have projection mapping. It'll be dedicated this summer, and I think it'll be, when you ask me like, what is my favorite, I think this will be one of my legacy projects. The fact that I can, when we talk about earlier when I said, the Eiffel Tower, the Arch, Jesus Redeemer, that this will definitely help us put up the Filipinos on the international map.
That's fantastic.
So, on a smaller scale, you'll see me working in LA.
Okay.
I've been in LA a lot, but I'll have my first exhibit at the Mandarin Chinese Theater.
I've got to schedule my California visits when you're there. Honestly, that's
so
great.
The Chinese Theater where they have the famous handprints.
Yes.
I'll have 30 of my astronauts with a foot up, so they're going to be making making impressions, like they're making the first astrological footprints in the Chinese Theater. And then these astronauts are going to travel all over the U.S. And some of them have been acquired. So Nick Jonas and his wife have one.
Wow.
The D'Amelios are big social media folks. So they're getting in hands of a lot of very fun, exciting people in the industry.
Cool.
So.
Wow. Again, I'm always following you on Instagram because you post these exciting videos and where you are in the world. So can you tell everyone how to find you? So if they want to send you a thank you message for inspiring them or want to know where you're going to be next.
So my easiest way to find me is on Instagram. Jefre_artist is my IG handle. That's also my Twitter handle. And on Facebook, you'll see Studio Jeffrey. Or you can go to www.jefre.org. Send me a DM. I usually try to respond, not right away, but if I
You
I
are
don't.
very good about
So,
responding. So,
but
yeah.
I just want to thank all my supporters, everyone that's been along with this journey for me, and there's a lot of new and exciting things to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I think you're flying back out to Orlando today.
Driving back to
Yeah.
Orlando, going back to LA, and then back to Asia. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for taking this
Thank you,
time with
Manisha.
me. This has
Thank
been
you.
amazing. Thank you everyone for joining me today. I cannot wait to see you on my next episode of Conversations with Manisha, but for sure, this is definitely one of my highlighted ones.
Oh,
This was
mine as
great.
well.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Thank you, everyone.